We hurting.
You
Every
know,
time, we look at a picture of her, it just bring all this sadness out. When we did the balloon release, I won myself on Mother's Day.
I bet you weren't.
My daughter usually be here. She's always, Mom, I got you something for Mother's Day. Mom, order you 2 pair of shoes, or she'll send me money, or she was a good child. They didn't have to, whatever they did to her, they didn't have to do it. She didn't bother nobody. She was a good girl. We all kids done had they little flaws, but she was a good child and she was a good mother.
I want you to imagine Mother's Day. Usually you receive flowers and candy and you're waiting for your kids to come visit you, maybe taken out to a restaurant. But instead of Mother's Day being that, it would be the last day that you would see your daughter. Tonight we have a story of a young lady named Tabitha Queen that went missing over a year ago. We have her mother here tonight. Miss Mary, how are you tonight?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I appreciate you being here and sharing Tabitha's story and being the voice for her that she doesn't have, okay?
Okay.
All right, so we're going to what I want you to do is take me back to that very day, to the very moment that you got the call from Tabitha on Mother's Day.
She called my phone. I answered because I had been trying to call her all day. And she wouldn't answer the phone, and I told my sister, I said, something is actually wrong. And she was like, what you mean? I said, I'm instead of calling her phone, and she ain't answering her phone. So finally, about 4 hours later, she called me back. And she was like, hey, mama, how you doing? I said, all right. She said, happy Mother's Day. I said, the same to you. So I heard these 2 guys in the background sound like they was enraged, and it sounded like she was scared. And I said, what's wrong? I said, who is them guys in the background that I hear? She said, Mom, I got to go. I said, go where? I said, Tabitha, who is that you riding with? She said, Mom, I have to go. She hung up the phone.
Was that unusual behavior for her?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And I called back. I kept calling back, no answer. Kept calling back, no answer. I was like, something going on here. So as a mother instinct, my heart started racing.
Right.
And I went into anxiety mode. And I told my sister, I said, let's pack a bag, let's go. Something ain't right. And I kept calling her phone. So finally, after 4 hours, she picked it up. And she was like, Mom, I told you I had to go. I said, go where? And she hung the phone up. So I kept calling, I called for 3 days. And her phone went straight to voicemail. It was no pickup, no nothing since. And my sister said, you ready to go? I said, yes. By the time we packed up our bags and got ready to leave, that's when the neighbor called me. She said, I don't know what's going on, baby. She said, but something ain't right. She said, the kids over here, they said they hadn't seen their mom in 3 days. I said, we on our way now. I said, I know something ain't right. So then a friend girl called me and she was like, Tabitha ain't been home in 3 days, and that's unusual for her not to be at home in 3 days from them kids. I said, you right. I said, but I'm on my way down there. Now I said, I got 5 more hours. I'll be there. I called the police station. I told them, I said, can y'all track my daughter's car down? My daughter is missing. They said, how you know she's missing? I said, I know my daughter. I said, my daughter hadn't been at home in 3 days with her kids. I said, can you track that car?
Let's let the audience know how old her kids are or were at that time.
At the time, she had a 1-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 10-year-old.
And all of them were left in the house
by themselves for 3 days.
And your daughter, I mean, no mother, I don't think any mother, especially a 1-year-old, because they're still on formula.
Yes. And she was attached to her kids. That's why I knew it wouldn't have never happened like that, because the police, Mr. Reed, he kept on saying people go missing all the time. They leave and start another family. I said, not my daughter. Not my daughter. I said she loved her kids. She loved her family. She would have never went missing this long without calling me and saying, Mom, I'm here, or whatever. When I text my daughter phone, I text her. I said, if you don't answer this phone in 5 minutes, I'm calling the police. And they know when I say that, I'm calling the police, they'll call right back.
Right.
That's when I knew my daughter was in danger. She didn't text back. She didn't respond. She didn't do nothing.
And I was researching, and it was a conversation that your daughter had in front of the 11-year-old, at that time 10, and
Right.
the 10-year-old stated that she got in an argument with someone about
Yes.
with
Yes,
something
she
about her
did.
car, correct?
Yes. The 10-year-old stated that the boy that she loaned her car to brought the car back. She said, what's that smell in my car? She said, the dude said, what smell? I don't smell nothing. Said she opened up the trunk, went in the trunk of her car. Blood was back there. I said, are you sure, Alice, blood was back there? She said, yeah, we cleaned it out. I said, what your mama cleaned it out with? She said, bleach. She said, it was a bunch of blood back there where the tie go. So whoever that dude was had already committed a crime. And he knew that my daughter knew what he had done did. So that's when all this came about. The next day, my daughter came a missing from that.
So basically, your daughter knew about this crime,
My
and you
daughter,
came back and got her.
right.
That's very familiar.
Yes.
So after you called the police, because now you're heading down, to your daughter's house. You're 5 hours away.
Where I was at the time 7.5 or 8.
Okay.
7.5.
Okay, so you're heading down there. When you get there, what did the police respond to the house? Was there like a
The police didn't come to the house. They had cameras all around. They had a little nursing home, something across the street. They got neighbors that had cameras. Everywhere my daughter went to, that street, that whole street had cameras. They didn't go knock on doors and ask the people, you know, have y'all seen anything? Can I watch y'all cameras or something? Everything was messed up. They didn't go up and down that street, and then it was 9 months later, a lady from that nursery home, she had been following my story.
right?
She said, I work across the street from where your daughter stays. She said, if you can you call and see, do that? Can they bring the cameras back from that day when it started? So I asked Reed. Reed claimed that they went over there, there wasn't no footage. That was a lie. When that lady called me and told me what she told me, I called up there, and he got her phone number. And if you check that area the first time, you know what I'm saying? Why
Right.
would you go back the second time and say it was a bunch of lies through the police department too?
So when was she actually deemed a missing person?
I on the 3 days after Mother's Day, I called. I had to
And
come down there and sign the papers. And
and
then when my sister went up there, my older sister went up there to sign the papers till I got there. When I made it there, she was like, you got to go sign the papers again. I said, what? You know, and Bastrop is a small little community. It's probably about 5,000 people or more.
okay,
But
everybody knows everybody.
everybody knows everybody in the whole town talking about what they did to my daughter. And the police department, Mr. Reed, told them that it was just rumors. Everybody ain't gonna say it's just rumors.
So
Everybody know what's supposed to be happening to my daughter.
okay, so as the investigation is going on, because I didn't see very much coverage on her, and I was thinking to
That-
myself,
right,
this is a young woman.
right,
She left three of her kids, seemed
right,
like in a hurry, and that's
right.
not alarming to anyone that would happen. She has no record of ever having any
No,
any any decision of leaving her kids before, and that's a red flag,
that's a red flag. I told the police, I told Mr. Reed, I've been trying to get the FBI involved, the state, everything. Finally, the state came in. The state said the same thing I said. They dropped the ball on my daughter's case. Now here it is a year, you know, a year, and we still suffering. I've been sick. I like to been died twice since my daughter been missing due to stress. I'm still going through trauma. My dad died after I came out the hospital due to stress. This family done been through something.
Yeah, I know. I can hear it in
And
your
it,
I can
it,
hear it
it
in your
hurts.
voice.
It hurts every day. Every day I look up, you know, I want my daughter to knock at that door and say, Mom, here I am. But I know she's not gonna knock at that door. I know they killed my daughter. I
Do,
know
do
deep in
you
my heart, I
feel
know they killed my daughter. I know she done came to me several times since I've been looking for her in dreams, trying to tell me where she's at.
I was taught when I talked to you earlier today, and we talked about Mother's Day. I know that
Yes.
has to be, a very
Oh
detrimental day
yeah.
for you now.
Easter, Mother's Day, her birthday. Oh, I had it real hard. I cried all day. My neighbor, she had to come get me out the house. She was like, "No, you coming out today." And I had to keep myself up for these kids. And by talking to the case, because I know they dropped the ball on my daughter's case, by talking about it, it just makes me angry. You know, and it just a lot. And the police department wasn't listening to nobody. They didn't go get these people that supposed to been questioning. They said they couldn't they couldn't make them say they did it this and did that. I watch ID channel every day, and them police they gonna get down to the nitty gritty, and they gonna make them admit to their crime. you know I feel like they didn't do the proper search. They didn't do nothing. They didn't even search for my daughter. When they found her on the video before she came a missing, a day before Mother's Day, to go get the kids something to eat. She went to go get steak and shrimps. They didn't go to that store until we took them receipts up there, and they still didn't go to that store until I asked them a couple of months later to go to the store to see that they have footage.
And was she there on the footage?
She was the only one, and it was her going in the store. I'm gonna tell you how they messed up my daughter case. They got cameras on the outside of that store also. They only got the footage of her coming in the store. So that made me feel some type of way, like somebody's hiding something, or something is really going on in that town. A
Do
lot of
you
missing
think?
people that came up in
Oh,
Bastrop, missing since then. The same thing left my daughter ID and my granddaughter disability card in her car. The same thing happened to all the rest of these people.
so you
It
think
been
it's an
several,
epidemic that's
several.
going on?
Right. It's several missing people that came up. They done found their bodies. Some of them they hadn't found their bodies. A lot of people coming up missing in Bastrop, Louisiana, and they leaving their IDs behind and bagging their cars up in wooded areas.
Did you go out and search for your daughter?
Yes, I did, and I'm still searching. We done
So
heard all kind of rumors. They supposed to stab my daughter up. 4 guys supposed to took her off and stabbed her up and cut her head off and put her head behind a stove. Oh, they done called me at 1 o'clock in the morning. People been calling, talking, and the whole town ain't gonna say the same thing. They said the police ain't listening to them.
so as as a mother also that don't experience it, because I, when I hear these stories, sometimes it just kind of, it takes you
Yeah,
back to a moment in time.
yeah, it do.
And
It does.
one of the reasons I want you to be able to tell it is because there's other people out here, there's other mothers, and there's other families that have to hear her story in order for other people to realize this is real. And
Right.
you stated something earlier. You were like, I'm trying to keep it together. I don't
Yeah,
think
I'm
people
trying.
realize. I don't really think people realize how hard. See, I got my son back. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying? And you
yes,
haven't. And so there's something inside of you that just, it can't rest right. You know what I
yes. I
mean?
can't.
You just,
I don't sleep good. It feel like my heart is balled up all the time. You know, it's that hurt that's sitting there. You know, it just I don't have closure, and I don't know what happened to her neither, and it bothers me bad.
yeah. This actually, this probably is. I tell people it's called silent suffering, because as the world
Yes,
moves around you, you kind of just stand still, and people think that you
yeah.
should just go on, like, hey,
No,
come on, let's go out and
you
get you,
can't.
but it ain't. It's not as
You can't.
easy. Yeah, it's
You
not as
can't.
easy as that. If there was if something else could have been did in this case, where would you have tried to make it where this case, that it would have been something the police might have been able to do a little bit differently to make sure that this case started off right?
I kept telling them to get the FBI or the feds or something. They said, "Oh, it's not an FBI case." How you know it ain't an FBI case? This is an FBI case all day long. They kept telling me no, no. I called the mayor. She kept telling me no, we got this. Now all of a sudden y'all called me back and said y'all got lit of evidence and you afraid y'all ain't got nothing. Y'all ain't never had nothing. If you know you couldn't do that job, you should have went on and let the FBI got involved in this case.
But you did state that it was an officer that they did have on the case that was working the case pretty good, but they removed.
Down. They fired her.
Okay,
Yes, they
and
did. She
okay,
was working
so
the case good. Yes, she was.
what did she
She
do?
she was going out. She was following all my leads. Everything. If people was calling me, telling me she was following them leads, and they got her out the office, and she was chief detective or whatever she was. I think a detective,
Okay.
head detective, but she went out. She helped search for my daughter and everything. She came with my family. You know,
Wow.
she did even since they fired her. You know, she still been right there with me. If I call her and tell her I'm finna do a search for my daughter, she was there.
So
She said she ain't gonna give up.
it was some law enforcement that was trying to help at
She,
one point.
she was the only one.
Right.
She was the only one. When I'm gonna tell you something, when my daughter first came up missing, I went up there and I talked to Mr. Reed. Oh, he was so nasty. He was nasty to me. He didn't want to come out and talk to us. I asked him, I said, "Do you have kids?" He said, "Yes, I got kids." I said, "Well, you don't know, you can't have no kids because you don't even know where I'm coming from with this." And he was like, "I have kids. I understand." He said, "I'm trying to do the best I can," which I think he was holding the case back because they didn't have nothing.
Right.
You see? Now that then I went back one day and he was like, "I don't want to talk to that lady, that crazy lady." I heard him. And the ladies behind the desk, they smiled. They started laughing. I said, "You tell him. I'm going to show him how crazy I am. Tell him to come on up here because my daughter's missing. He'll say." Oh, he was real nasty. When I say
How many
nasty,
is this your only daughter?
no, I have two girls. I have
How's
two girls and I have a son. I have a 30. Tabitha just turned 30. I have a 31 finna be a 32. And I have a 26-year-old son.
and how are they dealing with it?
Oh no, it's a mess. My oldest daughter, she's pregnant now. She's naming the baby after Tabitha. She's having a hard time. You know, the family, the kids. You know, all of us, we hurting.
Right.
We hurting.
You
Every
know,
time, we look at a picture of her, it just bring all this sadness out. When we did the balloon release, I won myself on Mother's Day.
I bet you weren't.
You know, my daughter usually be here. She's always, Mom, I got you something for Mother's Day. Mother, order you 2 pair of shoes, or she'll send me money, or she was a good child. They didn't have to, whatever they did to her, they didn't have to do it. She didn't bother nobody. She was a good girl. We all kids done had they little flaws, but she was a good child and she was a good mother.
You know, when you're growing up and you see missing children on the TV, you never think that that would be you in that
Oh
predicament.
yeah.
You know what I'm
Oh yeah.
saying?
I
And
never would have thought. I never would have thought.
it's a big burden to carry. But like I was telling you
Oh
earlier,
yeah.
um, Tabitha does not have a voice for her right now.
No, she
I
doesn't.
I
And I've
I
been
know
study
that you.
putting it on Facebook, everything.
Yeah, I know that you.
And
I know you go through your emotions and stuff like that, but you should be proud because this interview and all the other interviews or all the
oh
other
yeah.
times that you're searching for her, you have
Oh yeah.
become her voice. So I want to let you
Mhm.
know because I try to let all my families know like it's important, it's really really important that you make sure that she's never forgotten until you get your closure, until you
Right.
find out what happened. You are
Right.
Tabitha Queen right now. you you
Oh
you are
yeah.
her, and I'm proud um to and honored for you to be on this
Oh yeah.
podcast and sharing her information with her.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, with us as your audience. Um, who are you? Are the kids with you now?
Yes, they are.
Okay, how are they doing?
They doing fine. They have their little days. They get up in the morning. The oldest one, she's 11 now. She's finna get ready to turn 12.
Right.
She'll wake up every other couple of days. She'd be like, Mom, my mom came to me last night. I said, what she was doing? She said nothing. She just walked in the house and she asked me where you was. You know, they have their little dreams. She come to them and stuff, and she hadn't came to me in a while, but she came to me last week.
Well,
And the only
maybe
thing I
she's
did,
coming. Maybe she's coming to tell you it's almost time.
oh, it's almost time. I feel it.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
And it was also a video of her car being actually
Hmm.
dropped off at the time,
Oh
and
yeah.
someone running from the car too, wasn't it?
Yes. And then this the thing that I didn't understand. Okay, you're a police officer. I know polices have where they could blow that picture up. I know the FBI and the feds got it where they could blow that picture up and see who that is driving that car. And I kept telling them, get the FBI and the feds. I bet you they could find him. He told me, no, the video was too far back. What you mean it was too far back? A man on YouTube made a video. If you go on YouTube and you type in, a lot of people made videos of my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
If you go on YouTube, his name, it's up on the Tabitha Queen, up on the Salem's Island.
Mm-hmm.
That man blowed that picture up. You can see he blowed the area up where the man was. If he could do that, why the police couldn't do it? He
Right.
he seen when the man changed his shirt, when the man dropped some keys down, when somebody picked him up.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And
Go on
nobody
there.
kept that
Go on
nobody
there.
kept that video and took it to the police?
Everybody went up there and told this man who that was driving that car. The girls called me on the phone and told me they know exactly who it was. And the police, Mr. Reed, told them that it wasn't not him. That it would call me back and told me it was just rumors.
Do you think there's a fear in that community?
Yes, it is. I think ain't nobody talking because they scared it. What they did to my daughter, they gonna get them. But as a community, community should stick together because stuff like this, it happen every day. And if it was one of their children, they would want to speak up. If I was there and something like that happened, oh, I'm gonna speak up
Right, right. You know
because that's
what
somebody's child.
I felt the same way when my son was only 14, and I couldn't
Oh my
fathom.
God.
I knew people knew the story in the
Mm-hmm.
community, and he grew up though. He grew up there,
Right.
and he knew everybody, and the story was circulating, and
Right.
I couldn't believe that the community had, I don't want to say turned their back, but that's how I felt at that moment.
That's how I felt.
Yeah, it's almost
Mm-hmm.
like a betrayal because it makes a difference even if someone hurt her, right? But
Right.
somebody told where she was. It makes a
Right.
difference of seeing your daughter in a casket or getting your daughter delivered to you in a box. My son was
Correct.
delivered to me in a box.
A
So
box.
his bones, his remains, I never got to see him. We didn't get to have a proper
Wait a minute.
funeral.
Wait a minute. Who delivered him to in a box? The
Well,
killer?
the funeral home, that not to me, but the funeral home got
Oh,
him in a box. You know what I'm saying? We didn't
oh
get to
my
have
God.
a open casket to see his face, his little face again. We didn't get
Oh my
that
God.
pleasure. And when I was looking at her, um, when I was looking at her, case, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, just tell them where she is. At least give
Right.
them that. You know what I'm
That type of
saying?
closure. Right.
Yeah, it's not. Don't let it. If everybody is in the community and even if you don't want to tell who did it, at least
Right.
give her back to them.
That's right.
That I mean, she deserves that.
Right.
Um, and I'm sorry. I really am sorry from one mother to another. I know how, and it's about
I'm
to make
sorry
me
for your loss
emotional.
too.
Yeah, it's
Oh
about to
yeah.
make me
I know how you
emotional.
feel about that.
Yeah, but I know that you're strong enough, and
Yeah.
I can hear it that
Oh yeah.
Tabitha got a strong warrior mama. So
Oh yeah, she do.
um before we go, I always ask everybody, first of all, is there anything else that you think that you would want to, if you could tell somebody that could help you find Tabitha, or if Tabitha is alive herself, is there anything that you would want to tell the people out there that might have did something to her, the people that might be able to help, or Tabitha herself? What would you want to tell them?
I want to tell the people that knows what happened to her first.
Yes.
If she was a friend of y'all and y'all, I know y'all know what happened to her. Um, y'all could at least, tell us what happened. You could call anonymous. You could call me on the phone, and tell me which y'all have been doing, some of y'all, but give her back to us. These kids, they don't deserve this. Neither do I on my family. And the one that did this to her, I hope y'all burn in hell.
Mm.
I really do. Because my family don't deserve this. I like to been died twice. My daddy died after I got out the hospital. My grandkids, I had to look at them every day. And they asking me, Grandma, when is we going back out to look for my mama? That's a hurting feeling.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
If
is.
y'all know where she's at, please, please, just give her back to us. That's all we want. Give her back to us, and justice. It's not over.
No, it's
It's
not.
not over.
If you could tell, because your story is an encouragement for other people. If you could tell other families that's going through something similar to you right now, to a word of encouragement or something that could inspire them to just keep holding on, because you never know, it could be a mother out there
That's
that's
right.
about to break, and your words
Right.
can help them.
Just
What would you
don't
tell them?
never. I tell them, don't never give up. Keep looking for your child. Don't never give up, because they might still be out there. Just keep holding on. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. You know, I like to been broke down, but I had to be strong for these grandkids. The word of courage, I want to tell all you mothers and parents out there that got missing kids, try to stay strong. Try to stay strong, because it's easy to break. Just be strong for your loved ones.
All right, Miss Mary, I want to thank you for sharing this story tonight. Our prayers are with you, and if there's anything that
thank you so much
we can do, please let us know.
Okay, thank you so much.
I'm going to wrap this up. This is Tawana Span with Missing Our Voices. This is Miss Mary, Tabitha Queen's mother. If you have any information, please, if you don't contact us, contact the local law enforcement, contact the family. She needs someone to say, hey, tell me where my baby is. This is Tawana Span signing off for Missing Our Voices. Thank you.